Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MGM Northfield Park. Michael Carter alongside of our track announcer, Kenny Lividgood, as we take you through the remainder of the Preakness program. 4 races in the books thus far, and the track's been playing pretty fair, even though it's a little muddy and a little soft.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it rained again. Rained for Kentucky Derby and rained here. So, but this 5th race upcoming is off the turf now. So those of you that just maybe didn't notice that, they just took it off the turf. So maybe adjust some handicapping for that. But we'll still have a fun day.
Yeah, it changes some selections around a little bit. There had been some races earlier in the afternoon that had come off the turf. They made a decision after race 2 to take race number 5 off of the turf. And speaking of race number 5, it is an overnight event. We had handicap starting in race number 4, the Skip It Stakes, which, by the way, nobody here saw it, but I had the winner, so that's a plus.
But those are the easiest ones to have.
So, all right, race number 5 is an overnight event. I handicap for both the turf and the dirt in this race. You'll see my selections pop up here momentarily to the 7, the 2, the 8, and the 10. But obviously the race is going to be on the dirt now. The horse that I really liked was the 6, but the 8 up for it is my top pick on the dirt anyway. Has hit the board in a race at Pimlico before, was 5th last time out at Gulfstream Park. Ships up, has been off a couple of months and has a decent shot here.
Yeah, the 8 was one of the horses I definitely liked if the race was stayed on the turf, but he'll be okay on the dirt. My top choice, I guess I'll stick with. I like that they were putting him on the turf, but he's got dirt experience, and he's one of a very few limited ones that do have dirt experience in here. So, in an off-the-turf race, we'll see what he goes off at. The odds aren't up yet, but we'll see. I don't know. This is a tough race now off the turf.
And there again, we're going to scratch the 6 in race number 5. Flip over to race number 6. It is the 49th running of the Chick Lang Stakes. Put Martina Rojas on the 4, Sweet Sadi J. This is a really, really fun race to handicap. 6 furlongs on the main track that is currently listed as good, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Listed as good. Maybe a slightly speed favoring track so far, but yeah, listed good. So we'll see. Hopefully the rain. Obviously, it kept raining because they took a race off.
Right.
But hopefully the sun stays out.
Well, my top pick in here is the 7 Catahoula Moon. Catahoula Moon raced back here at Pimlico back in September of 2023 over a sloppy track and was second, only beaten a length and a half. Xavier Perez was on that day. You get Jaime Rodriguez, who's coming off of a victory here on this one.
Yeah, I like the 7 a little bit. I put him 4th just because I don't think he's going to get the lead in this spot. In that last start, he did have the lead. But I went to the 2, Cats by 5. There's a lot of speed in here, I thought. The 1 has to send from the rail, I would assume. And then you got the 6, Frost Free. So I just thought there was a chance that this race could heat up on the front. I'll take the horse that's sitting in that kind of second flight of horses down to the inside and saving ground. And I'll take the 2 here. I'll try to beat the favorite.
I thought the 1 was interesting. Mr. Skylight is one of the obviously less raced horses in the group. Has only raced 3 times in his career, but he's steadily been stepping up, and he raced really good last time out at Keeneland.
Yeah, he's done nothing wrong. I just thought maybe too much of a step up in class for him, so I ultimately left him off. But he's definitely a horse that can take another step forward. He's only raced 3 times, so certainly eligible to improve.
There's a lot of speed in this race, and you handicap thoroughbreds a lot more than you do. Well, I say a lot more than you do harness, but you do a lot of harness
when you
now.
Get 16 races a night, you get practice pretty quickly.
In these sprint races, you almost have to be on or near the lead to even have a remote chance. Yeah.
Yeah, when you think that you see a lot of speed and you think the race might collapse, it seems like they're just better sprinters up front, and they just keep going. So it's tough to handicap for meltdowns, but this one I did think that. Maybe not a deep closer, but a second flight type horse was where I was looking.
All right, several scratches in race number 7. That race, as far as we know, is still on the turf, going a mile and a 16th. It is the 73rd running of the Gallarette, going a mile and a 16th on the turf. Scratch numbers 1, 2, and 8. And the 4 at the time that we had looked at these things was running. We'll have to check and see if the 4 is going to run or not.
Yeah, assuming the race is off the turf or on the turf, then he was scratched, obviously. But if the race is off the turf, then you have to certainly consider the 4 in this spot. He's one with dirt experience, and he's raced extremely well in those races. So.
Now this race, 7 Fluffy Socks is my top selection here. Is 1-4-1 at Pimlico and was 6th at Keeneland last time out over a good track. And, you know, the one thing I've kind of looked at when I was handicapping this program is who could perform well on an off track. And obviously looking at the main program here, you can see when they're off on the dirt, but you have to kind of look at their lines to see, you know, did they race over a good track, a yielding track? And the horse raced on a good track last time out at Keeneland, was 6th, was 2nd at Saratoga, but you got to go all the way back to 2022, has raced on firm turf courses ever since.
Yeah, Fluffy Socks is one of those horses, especially with the scratch of the 1. She is going to be a really short price in here.
Yeah.
She's certainly the horse to beat. She's got talent, but she hasn't raced particularly well this season. She just doesn't seem like she came back, you know, 6-year-old now. Maybe she's just not at her peak form, and her name will get her bet in this spot. So I took plenty of chances against her, at least 2 chances. I'm going to the longest price in the race. I'm going to the 9, Ascendancy. I thought that horse raced against Chili Flag and Compass and Delahaye were 3 Chad Brown horses at Churchill on Kentucky Derby Day. All 3 of them would be extremely short prices in here. She raced okay. She was only beaten 8 lengths, but she was close to the pace. But form-wise and buyer-wise, the race fits just as good as anybody else in here. And in a small field, she's going to be the longest price. I'll take a shot.
Well, the question, you know, why can't this one win, right? I mean, you know, Fluffy Socks is obviously dropping down. I call this a drop down in class. I mean, this is
a great softer
event,
field than she's been facing
field.
for sure.
But Ascendancy is also dropping down in class, so this is a really good spot for this mare.
Theoretically, technically dropping down, yeah, out of the grade 2. And 4 back, she raced extremely well at San Luis Rey there.
All right, race number 8 is the 37th running of the Maryland Sprid Stakes. It is a grade 3 event. In this race, scratch the 5, Little Roo, a field of 6 now with Javier Castellano riding number 3, Super Chow. My top pick here is the 1 Coastal Mission. Coastal Mission came off of Lasix. It has been doing okay since then. Has raced over some sloppy tracks before. This will go over a 6. This is 6 furlongs on the main track. Check out the off-dirt statistics. Has won 6 races and 8 starts. Coastal Mission's probably going to be a short price here and has been racing on kind of that circuit, right? The West Virginia, a little bit of New York, and now shipped down to Maryland. The 3 Super Chow is an interesting play with Javier Castellano now picking up the ride.
Yeah, it's a big rider change in the 3 for sure. This is the one race we talked about this off camera that we actually agreed on out of this entire card. So this is probably the one that won't win. But no, Coastal Mission raced extremely well. You touched on the off dirt stats, 6 for 8. So horse that's 75% when the track is not fast. Obviously not a fast track here. And his last race was extremely well. He's been razor sharp. He's had a couple bad starts at Aqueduct, but those were going long. Now he cuts back to the sprint distance. So I think I just kind of drew a line through those, thinking maybe he doesn't really want to go a mile. So now back to 6 furlongs. I think this horse to beat, and he's got the rail. And if he runs back to the race he ran a couple weeks ago, I think he's tough in here.
Now, how important is it when you're handicapping the thoroughbred races? You see an off track. How important is it to have experience over an off track to kind of gauge where you think the horse may be?
Yeah, I think it definitely matters. I think you definitely want horses that can get over a wet track. There's horses that are more proven to not get over it, I think, than horses that particularly just like it being sloppy. I think you'll find horses that will they hate it more than they love it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So.
All right, race number 9 is a listed stake. It is the James W. Murphy Stakes, the 59th running, a field of 12, scratch down to a field of 10, scratch the 4 Twirling Point and the 1 Lucky Jeremy. And this is a wide open race, a really good race. This was probably, out of all the races that I looked at from Pimlico today, this might be the one that I actually liked the most. And my top pick here is 6-1 Morning Line 7 Crystal Quest, who I feel can run all day long, closed gamely from off the pace with Javier Castellano in the irons at Tampa last time out. That was in a listed stake as well. So this horse is kind of not dropping down in class. It's not moving up in class. It's kind of the same area. And if you can get 7 or 8 to 1, why not take a swing?
This race is very hard. I wouldn't talk anybody off anything. This is just like the 3-year-old turf race on Derby Day. You had a very strong field, and they come right back here, and it's 10 new faces to the none of these ran in that Derby Day stake, and yet this race is just as hard. So, or one of them did actually. Abrumar ran, but this tough race. I went to the 12. He's got the wide post, could be tricky. Short run to the first turn, but you pick up Flavian Pratt here, and he was the beaten favorite last time at Laurel. Not sure. He ran okay. He swung wide, just didn't get there, but. I'm going to take a shot here and go to my man Flavian Pratt when the money's on the line.
Well, and why not, right? Flavian is one of the best riders. And for those of you who see this handicapping seminar on a yearly basis, you notice we're missing a third guy over here in Bob Roberts. He is in Baltimore right now at the Preakness. So, Bob, if you're watching, listen, we hope you're having a great time and enjoying the rain because it's dry here in Ohio.
It is dry here.
It is dry here.
The sun is out here.
So, all right, race number 10 is the 26th running of the Sir Barton Stakes. It goes a mile and a 16th on the main track. In this race, scratch 7, Mighty Message, and the 8, Tuscan Sky. Top pick here for me is the 10, Imperial Gun. Imperial Gun raced in the Arkansas Derby 2 starts back and was 8th. Was second, just beat ahead at Oaklawn Park in another $200,000 stake race. Clearly improved in that race. So the son of Gun Runner seems like the top pick here for me.
Yeah, I think this race, especially with the scratch of the 8 Tuscan Sky, clearly goes through the 5 Corporate Power and the 10 Imperial Gun. I took a price trying to beat him with the 2 Real Macho. Comes out of the 2 Florida prep races for the Kentucky Derby. Raced 4th in the Fountain of Youth. He improved, and I thought he raced well in that spot. The Florida Derby was just too much. Fierceness ran him off their feet and raced extremely well. They obviously didn't come back and backed it up in the Kentucky Derby, but Real Macho comes back to a much softer field. This is a horse that was improving going into the Florida Derby. He was only 37-1 in there, and there were a lot of horses that were longer than that. So I think there was some expectation that this guy might have some talent. It's going to be hard to beat the 5 and 10. There's no doubt about it. But they're going to be such short prices with the scratch of the 8 now that I'll take the shot. And maybe the 2 can split them in the exacta. Realistically, the 5 and the 10 do look like the horses to beat in here.
The scratch here kind of ruined our price and our value. And, sometimes that happens, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you got to go with the cards. It might just be simple as taking 5, 10 in there.
All right, race number 11 is the 19th running of the Jim McKay Turf Sprint. It is a listed stake at Pimlico going 5 furlongs on the turf course. First time gelding on the 1 Grooms All Business. Another really nice field. And we're going to scratch the 4 Midday Image here. Another really good field of horses. I actually went all outside horses here just about. I went 11, 10, 8, and 12. Top pick here for me is the 11 Witty. Raced at the $100,000 King Leatherberry Stakes at Laurel Park. Won by a neck and does have some experience. We were just talking about experience at Pimlico and has won and finished second at Pimlico before.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at this horse now that you picked him on top, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like I missed something here. First start off, a layoff was good, so there's definitely a lot to like there. I just thought it was a really tough race. Another one where I have 4 horses and I don't have your top choice, and I'm looking at them like I should have them. So it's just an extremely tough. Turf sprints are very hard to handicap sometimes, especially the 5 furlong turf sprints. I feel like they're even more tricky than 5.5. I went to the 1. Should be able to sit in what we like to call in harness the pocket trip, I think. I think he sits, covered up on the rail, and I hope he gets first run and gets a hole, and that's kind of my angle. Although, who knows with this wet turf course what it's going to be. You may not want to be inside with the drainage. So.
All right, race number 12 is the 123rd running of the Dinner Party Stakes. It is a Grade 3 event that also has a lot of scratches. Scratch the 7 Adamo, the 10 Emmanuel, who I know both you and I both liked, and the 12 Fantastic Again. That was my top pick at 12-1. Top pick now goes to the 5 Running B. Was second in the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Stake back in February. Was a winner of an allowance race with Tyler Gaffalione in the irons at Keeneland. That was actually a really, really good race. Was a winning favorite that day. Comes back racing in a Grade 3 event, and I think Running B could strike. And I was going to say a little bit of a price, but with Emmanuel being out, who knows? Maybe I'll only get maybe 2-1, 3-1.
Yeah, he's going to be a short price now. He's another one that's another perfect example of another wide open race, but ultimately I thought they were shorter priced races that were wide open. You just use the 4 or 5 horses. It's just figuring out which one is going to win. I went to the 9 Beatbox, been consistent. 4th place finish last time, but I'm very busy. Web Slinger, they'd probably be short prices in here.
Yeah,
I'm very
probably.
busy, was sent off as the favorite in the race on Derby Day. So Beatbox comes here out of that, and you get Joel Rosario back. And Joel's one of the best closing turf riders in the country. So if the turf plays where you can close, I think he's got a big shot. And I also like the 2 English B a little bit. He's got speed to the inside. They showed it last time. They put him at second. So I think he'll just work out a good trip and could be a long shot worth using here. But this is a tough race.
All right, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to take a look at each of the horses in the 149th Preakness Stakes.